What? Are you? What in the fuck are you doing?
This has been a long time coming, but since the reveal of Xanh and Ma Dai, the problem has, let's say, escalated and people are losing their absolute shit. So here we go, my gravy granules, a video on cloned movesets, general Koei laziness, and some of my concerns over Dynasty Warriors 9. Viewer warning, this is going to be really negative in nature, so this is your chance to bail out. Fucking X out the browser and turn off the computer, or whatever. But for the rest of you, this is kind of a follow-up video to the one I made shortly after the Ling Chi reveal. Link to that video will be below. But here we go. Now I'm going to be fair for a second and say we haven't actually seen any clones of yet, well, other than the Kiao sisters, which both have the same weapon. And people have said there's been no confirmation of cloned weapons, which is true, but I'll destroy that argument as well in time. Another point to add is, since Dynasty Warriors 6, some characters changed weapons for the better, such as, well, at least in my opinion, Diao Chan, Zhang Liao and Liu Bei. Second, maybe not an argument anyone has made, but what I thought of while writing this video, if they're clones, wouldn't they do the character reveals without the weapons? I mean, that's what they did with Dynasty Warriors 7. It certainly was better damage control than what is happening now, at least. So obviously, this means Koei have made a conscious decision to change the character's weapons for some strange reason. So Zhang He's weapon is now the throwing knives. Like, I don't think they've made a very light choice on that. But whatever, we shall soon see in time. Third argument, a classic. There's too many characters for them all to be unique, which you kind of have to agree with, except no, you don't. Koei don't need to keep adding characters. Well, they don't have to keep making them playable anyway. They could just be, you know, unique NPCs like in Samurai Warriors 4, which gave a bunch of generics unique models because they thought they had at least some relevance to the story, but not enough to warrant a completely new moveset. But meanwhile, in the Dynasty Warriors camp, they seem to think that, you know, oversaturating the cast is a good thing. Almost like Warriors Archie 3, which, you know, every character only got about one stage to have some spotlight. And another classic argument, they're making weapons more historical. For starters, the games technically aren't historical because it's based on the novel, Romance of Three Kingdoms, as opposed to actual history. There's a bunch of events that are different. Like, oh, I don't know, like Guansua not fucking existing, for example. But judging by the Western fan poll, he might as well not exist at this point anyway. Thank God for that. And if you want historical, everyone would wear nearly identical armour and fight with a spear, sword, or just a polearm. And more historical? Are you fucking mental? So Man Chong and Shun Yu's weapons are historical, and so is the grapple hook and exploding barrels. Fucking bullshit. And let's remember this classic quote, which I found by accident, from Koei Shibusawa, who is currently Koei's CEO and general producer for Nobunaga's Ambition, Dragon Quest Heroes and Neo. In response to the financial failures being reported by AAA publishers despite selling millions of copies, Shibusawa replied that it's not the costs for production which are critical for success, it's cherishing the demands of fans. He believes that the millions of yen spent just for the sake of high quality production is not a very practical business practice for any company, niche or major, in this age if it continues to alienate a company's core fan base. So I got a few things from that quote. Firstly, money. It's always about the money. Doesn't sound like they want to spend too much in making a game, hence why we get so many spin-offs using exactly the same assets and reusing of movesets in sort of, I don't want to get too depressed with that, but whatever. You know, second point from that, there's more, but this video is probably already too long. I think this puts Koei in a difficult position. Like, they don't want to piss off the core fan base, you know, the Japanese fans, which they've already managed to do, judging by some of their YouTube videos. Classic. But also not spend money. One thing I don't understand is they want to reinvent the Dynasty Warriors series with open world gameplay, which no one asked for, by the way, and a new attack system, but they turn around and don't fully commit from what we've seen, because they pull this weapon changing bullshit on characters. which any character could be, you know, someone's favourite really, but that's what pisses people off, changing weapons for no fucking reason. Just look at Gan Ning, who's pretty well liked. Well, he even won second in the Wu character poll competition for the Western fans, but he seems to get a new moveset every 5 seconds, so when you think of Gan Ning, you literally just think of a pirate now. You no longer think of him with the sword, unless you've only played Dynasty Warriors 3 to 5. And everyone, when you think of Zhang He, you think of somebody with claws, because he's gone only Dynasty Warriors 6, he had a different weapon, which he immediately changed back to even. I was actually trying to find a quote about the producer defending the choices for characters' weapons like magic and all that nonsense. If I or anyone else manages to find it, I'll pin it as the top comment. So that is your homework for the day, my friends. Or maybe you don't want to do that. And a final argument, well, actually some of these last ones haven't been arguments, but whatever. Dynasty Warriors 3 to 5 had clones, and everyone was okay with that, which we'll get into later in the video because I can't be bothered to rewrite this. Now that's basically all I can say in fairness. I mean, it truly is. Call me a miserable prick, but you have to be slightly cynical about all this complete shit, or at least take it with a pinch of salt. Also, can I just say I find it funny that people only started giving a shit about clones when Zhang He was revealed, presumably because it's a character they care about. Now, my and many other people's arguments for why they think clones are going to be in the game are various. Now, when people have said there's been no confirmation, let's remember there was no confirmation for clones in Dynasty Warriors 6 or 7, which I think was revealed when the gameplay was shown, and it was at, you know, the last second before release. And anyway, what kind of fucking argument is that? Yeah, like Koei are going to come out and say, yeah, there are clones in the game. Like, you fucking stupid. As if they're going to say something like that this early or at all. If they want as many people riding the hype train as possible to sell as many copies as possible. Dynasty Warriors 8 is another prime example. They initially said it was going to have English dubs, and then at the last minute, I think a month before release, it was like, no, it's not going to have them. Because it's fucking shameful. Yeah, we're going to take our own game down a notch. You people fucking stupid or something. Jesus Christ. Now, one thing I've noticed, and many others, the weapon models are either straight rips from the previous game, like Zhang He's, which is the Violet Shower DLC weapon, while others have recolors like the other 4 characters. Xiaohuiwan's is a recolor of the Imperial Rods, Ling Qi's is a recolor of Imperial Set, and Ma Dai's is just Sun and Moon with different coloured tassels. Another thing to add is that Guan Ping shares his weapon model with Generics, while Zhang He doesn't. Now, Generics also have Sima Zhao's old weapon. Potentially old weapon, is what I mean to say. I mean, if that doesn't have the stench of lazy whipped all over it, I don't know what does. Like, just think about that. Some arguments put to me have been, hopefully they're sharing the S string, you know, weak attacks, with different R1, square, triangle, circle, cross attacks at least. A bit like Warriors Archery 3, where they share the same weapons and S string but different charge attacks. Well, let's think about this for a second, and I've made a picture here for convenience. If it's what I'm thinking the new move system will be, then that means each character will have 24 new attacks with the new R1, circle, triangle, square, whatever. And they're going to make them all unique, while the 6 charge attack and square attacks are going to be the same. Which they could just rip from the previous game, which they've already done for Ajahudan's new Miso, which is literally just his Rage Miso animations with his standard Miso at the end, and Cao Cao's Air Miso is exactly the same. So you're going to tell me they're going to spend the time making 24 new attacks while not ripping the stuff from the old games? I'm not buying that, I'm afraid. You'd have to be fucking stupid at this point to think they'd only share basic ground moves. And to be honest, would any of us minded if they kept the original attacks from Dynasty Warriors 8, 7 or 8? I mean, Dynasty Warriors 3 to 5 used most of the same attacks. They changed a few of them from game to game. From Dynasty Warriors 3 to 4, they changed everyone's first and third charge attacks, and an air charge attack was added, as well as a parry attack, which for around 5 or so characters had a unique animation, while everyone else used the 4th charge attack. And the change from Dynasty Warriors 4 to 5 was that everyone who had a grapple attack had their move changed. Anyone who shot a projectile, the function of the move changed, so it looked really awkward for nearly everyone, especially Cao Cao. Everyone's 5th charge attack changed, which previously would always be a launcher. A select few characters had their 6th charge attack changed completely, like Xiaoyun, Lumeng, and Zhang Jiao, while others had their light beam effects removed, like Sun Jian, Xiahou and Lu Shun. And last but not least, everyone's air charge attack changed again for some unknown reason. I had no idea why I decided to list off all the changes between Dynasty Warriors 3 to 5, but there we go. And of the 39 characters that were in the series since Dynasty Warriors 3, guess how many of them changed weapon up to Dynasty Warriors 5? Any guesses, people? Well, it's easy. It's one character. Well, more like half, because that character is Xiahou Yuan. Now I say half because he didn't technically change movesets. He just changed his weapon model. He went from a scimitar, like his cousin, to a club. And bow, obviously. And his moveset is usable with the sword edit officer thing in Dynasty Warriors 4, so there's always that. The reason we're all okay with that, it isn't the same. Now, for example, in vanilla Dynasty Warriors 6, here's a list of all cloned moves. But for this, we'll use the spear moveset, for example, used by Taishutsu, Sun Ce, Ma Chao, and Zhong He. These are direct clones, no animations altered, however the effects attached to the moves are different. And their skill move is different, with exception of Ma Chao and Zhong He, which both use True Speed. While in Dynasty Warriors 7, technically everyone was a clone with the ability to use any weapon, and they had 3 unique moves each, 1 X attack and 2 Misos. While in Dynasty Warriors 4, for example, some animations are similar, but it's different enough to distinguish the characters. Sun Jian and Xuan use 5 of the same basic S-string attacks, wherever all their charge attacks are different, and while their Miso is the same, the ending is different. The same principle applies to Yuan Shao, Dong Zhua, and Liu Bei, and everyone else is listed here of similar weapons and moves. Now, another thing I kind of addressed in the other video was, if everyone has a cloned moveset, the only thing that really makes them any different is their personalities. Like in the footage playing along with the video, the movesets don't really have any uniqueness. For all I care, using someone else's weapon essentially makes that character just a skin. So like I said, the only real thing that makes them any different is their personalities and dialogue. And let's remember, in Japanese it's watered down, like I've already said in a previous video, link below. In Dynasty Warriors 7 this worked because not every character was playable in story mode. Focusing on just a handful actually made the majority of those characters interesting, and the game gave them somewhat of a story arc and character development. Same can be said with Lu Bu's story in 8 Extreme Legends. Now, I would be able to slightly forgive Dynasty Warriors 9 if the writing and storytelling was amazing, but if hypotheticals in 8 are anything to go by, then I doubt it will. Finally, and just to make sure this video isn't 2 hours long, I want to say why I think this clone and moveset changes are happening. In short, money. Yeah, call me fucking cynical or whatever, but that's a company's objective, to make money. I know this screenshot would come in handy one day, and sure as fuck it has. As you can see, Koei do really care about DLC, but whatever. And most developers these days are of the mentality that you need to make a game as cheap as possible and cut bits off and sell it as DLC. Assassin's Creed, for example, are nearly all the fucking same, just like some of Koei's latest games. Just rehashes of the same stuff. Koei in the last couple of years have been more and more, let's say, aggressive with DLC and other shitty practices, like the DLC for Dead or Alive. God knows how many season passes for that game, all at, £74 a piece. Their PC games are broken to quite a few people, and they've only just started porting the PS4 versions of them. They've dropped English dubs from nearly all games. The Vita no longer gets Western releases, with the exception of Dynasty Warriors Godseekers, which didn't even get a fucking disc version. It was digital only, because fuck Westerners, right? The Vita ports themselves are complete shit that run at sub 25 FPS, being, unplayable for most people, which is weird because Gust's Vita version of Altelia Sophie is actually quite good, which I don't understand. How people have such strong faith in a company that pulls this shit just boggles my mind. I mean, there's no benefit to being die-hard loyal to a company. Just because they make some games you like somehow means you'll just blindly accept everything they do. Maybe it's just me. So if they make a game you like and they went and killed your family, some of you would be okay with that. I mean, that's the attitude I'm getting from the community, if you can fucking call it that. Oh, they can't do any wrong. Fuck me. And finally, one last point. Now, I've been thinking about this for a while, and I'm still not sure how to word it, but I think pandering to the Chinese audience is part of the problem. Now, up until just recently, 2015, China had a complete ban on video games, and China is now the largest and highest grossing in revenues video game market in the world. So sure, why wouldn't Koei want a piece of that pie? We already know that it's going to have Chinese voices and text, and tapping into that market is also the reason character costumes are more moderate, because they have very strict rules and regulations what can be shown in video games, because it has to pass the government somehow. It's almost like, you know, age restrictions and shit. Currently, Dynasty Warriors 8 is the only other Dynasty Warriors game available in that country. They don't have such a connection to the characters like many long-time fans, so why would they care if somebody's a clone or if they change weapons? Hashtag make you think. And for the third time, finally, because I can't structure video to save my life, changing and cloning of the movesets is also like kind of losing some of the characters' identities too. Everyone thinks of Zhang He with his claws, Taishutsu with his rods, etc, etc. Everyone thinks of Ma Chao with a spear. Dynasty Warriors 9 to me is Koei's chance for them to shove in character styles to the movesets, like Sengoku Basara, which does an excellent job at this. Yes, indeed. But in that game, the characters really feel unique, while Dynasty Warriors, everyone just feels like a skin. Well, certainly in the latest games, being 7 and 8. Maybe it's because the majority of the attacks are the same speed and deal the same damage and have relatively the same purpose. Maybe it's just because the game's attack system is lacking variety. I don't know. I really do hope Koei do iron this shit out and make characters feel more like they should. But I think changing the movesets to what they've shown already is a massive mistake. Just, if everyone has generalised things, then the characters' identities are gone. It's a fucking joke, man. There we go. I'm not sure what people think about the points in this video. Let me know. No doubt there'll be someone saying, you're just a hater and blah blah blah. I'm not a hater. I'm just disappointed the way they're doing this. I would have thought Koei would try and improve on the previous game and add more to it and iron out all the faults, like some of the games this year, such as, you know, Persona 5 and Gravity Rush 2. But, you know, every Dynasty Warriors game is technically a remake or a reimagining. They're named and numbered sequentially, and yet they don't really try and improve on stuff in the previous games, because they just retell the same fucking story with the same fucking characters. But as soon as, you know, something goes wrong, oh fucking bin all that. Like, Dynasty Warriors 6 actually had some good stuff in it. Like, the character stories were good. The real-time siege battles were good. No, can't keep that. Just, it's bordering Sonic level series levels of, you know, don't know where they want to go with the fucking series. It's just sad. To be honest, I don't like making videos shitting on Koei so hard, because I love the games, but it's just sad to see them go this way. And no doubt there will be people that still blindly accept everything Koei does without a care in the world. Just, you know, bend over, go to their offices, take a dildo, and tell them to fuck your ass dry. They're the people that fucking pre-order bad games and make arguments like, oh, you know, the game's bad, but I'm going to go and buy it anyway because I'm a fan. To quote the comedian Stuart Lee, that's like shitting your hotel bed in protest of bad service and then realising you've got to sleep in a shitted bed. I hope I'm wrong. I genuinely do hope Koei put the effort into the game and make everyone a unique. I hope they go all in and make a truly great game. But from what I'm seeing now, I really don't see that. And I'm certainly not hyped, because that's for silly people. Now that depressing shit is over, my next ranty video or discussion video will actually be a positive one because, you know, I don't want to be associated with complete fucking negativity. So my next discussion video will be what Dynasty Warriors crossover I would like to see. And my next review will be Gravity Rush 2. Don't forget to subscribe for equally depressing and shit content every day. And I will see you next time. Bye bye. While others have recolours like the other four